The anomaly was a ghost in the machine, a tremor in the seamless flow of data that was Eleni's domain. For Eleni Petru, a junior economic analyst at the ECB, the world was a constellation of numbers, and she possessed an almost preternatural ability to detect when one was out of alignment. This one was a subtle, algorithmic whisper suggesting a coordinated short-selling attack on Greek bonds, magnitudes more sophisticated than anything she'd seen. It wasn't the what that chilled her, it was the why now. Greece was stable, fragile but stable. To bet so heavily against it was either insanity or inside knowledge. Her report, flagged as urgent, was quietly dismissed by her superior with a pat on the shoulder and a warning about crying wolf. The system, he implied, was designed to absorb such noise. But Eleni knew a predator's scent when she smelled it. 1,000 kilometers south, in a small Athens print shop that smelled of ink and old paper, Kostas Lelos was fighting a different kind of economic war. His currency, the local phoenix, was a work of art, a tangible rebellion against the austerity that had scarred his city. It was a community lifeline, keeping local businesses afloat. When a sharply dressed representative from a Zurich-based consulting firm offered him a small fortune to print a one-off, commemorative run of certificates, Kostas's initial suspicion was overruled by the thought of keeping his press running for another year. But the designs were too precise, the paper quality a near-perfect match for real Eurobond paper. A sickening realization dawned. He wasn't printing commemorative certificates, he was being paid to forge the components of a credible countercurrency, a tool to destabilize the real one. Marcus Thorne, formerly of the British SAS, now ran a private security firm out of a sleek minimalist office in London. His war was one of risk assessment and asset protection. When a shadowy hedge fund, Cerberus Capital, hired him to stress test the physical security of key Greek infrastructure, ports, rail hubs, the power grid, the job seemed straightforward. But the parameters were odd. The focus wasn't on preventing theft, but on simulating the cascading effects of targeted sabotage. They wanted models of chaos, not solutions for order. Marcus, a man who had seen how societies fracture under pressure, felt the familiar, cold weight of a bad mission. He was not being hired to protect anything. He was being used to blueprint its destruction.
Eleni, unable to let the anomaly go, dug deeper. She found Cerberus, a fund known for its ruthless financial blitzkriegs woven through the data like a spider. But the final piece came from an obscure economic forum, a photo of the local phoenix posted by a proud Athenian baker. The design was hauntingly familiar. It mirrored the forged bond components Kostas had shown her in a frantic, encrypted call she had initiated after tracking the printer's IP through a maze of shell companies. Her laptop, filled with incriminating correlations, was now a liability. Fearing her own institution was compromised by indifference or complicity, she fled Frankfurt. She contacted Marcus, whose name she had tied to Cerberus through a subcontractor log. It was a desperate, blind leap of faith. The three met in a dusty back room of Kostas's print shop, the air thick with the scent of ink and fear. An economist, a printer, and a soldier. Eleni laid out the digital evidence, the algorithmic attacks, the money trails. Kostas presented the forged currency, the physical proof of intent. Marcus connected the dots they couldn't see. "They're creating a perfect storm," he said, his voice a low gravel. Cerberus will use the cyber attacks to trigger a liquidity crisis, deploy the forged currency to sow panic and question the euro's validity, and use the chaos I helped map to create a blackout, both literal and economic. Then they'll call in their short positions and offer to buy the country's crown jewels for scrap. The climax was not a shootout, but a race against a digital clock. Cerberus initiated their attack. The lights in Athens flickered. Rumors of a new parallel currency flooded online forums, accompanied by images of Kostas's forgeries. The bond markets began to seize. Their plan was a Hail Mary. While Marcus used his old contacts to feed the Greek military real-time locations of the physical sabotage teams, Eleni prepared her data. Kostas, meanwhile, performed his own act of sabotage. On live television, as a news report showed panicked citizens at ATMs, he walked into the frame. Holding up one of his forged notes and a genuine local phoenix, he explained the difference. This, he declared, his voice shaking with passion, is a lie printed to steal our country. But this, he held up the real community note, is the truth. It is our choice to trust each other, not them.
It was a human moment that no algorithm could compute. The video went viral. Eleni, using a hijacked ECB emergency broadcast channel, released her entire dossier, the proof of Cerberus's manufactured crisis, to the world simultaneously. It was a data bomb, detonating in the heart of the information war. The resolution was not a triumphant victory parade, but a tense, fragile calm. The coordinated pressure from the exposed plot forced central banks to intervene. Cerberus, its strategy laid bare, was forced to cover its positions at a staggering loss. The nation didn't collapse, but the scars of the attempted coup were deep. Eleni stood on a balcony overlooking Athens, the city lights slowly steadying. Marcus joined her, a silent presence. Kostas was downstairs, already designing a new, more secure phoenix. They had won, but the victory felt hollow. They had seen how easily the threads of a modern nation could be pulled apart. The hedge fund was gone, but the system that allowed such a gamble remained. Eleni looked at the resilient city below, then at her two unlikely allies. The real work, she knew, was just beginning. It was no longer about fixing numbers on a screen, but about defending the fragile human truth they were meant to represent.